everyone, welcome to the Heart Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Kit Kat. Um, Today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us, she's an author. She has a series out right now that's called the Raven series, The Raven's Way, Raven's Rage, and she also has out Reptilian Factor. I have with us Carrie Marzak. Carrie, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Hey, glad. Thank you, Travis. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for having you on. But hey, thanks for sending me over the books. I'm having fun reading them.
Good, good. I'm glad.
And so, tell my audience a little bit about the Raven series.
Well, it's uh, a number of years back. I was just the name of I couldn't get Raven out of my head. Raven, Raven, Raven. Everything was Raven, this Ravenette. And then pretty soon it was Johnny Raven, and then pretty soon it was Raven's Way, and I very quickly wrote out an outline of about 2.5 pages, and put the outline in a desk drawer, and I forgot about it. And so then one day I'm cleaning out my desk, and I pull out this outline, and I said, "Huh." So I start reading it, and then I said to myself, "You know what? You're never going to be able to know if you can write this if you don't start." So I just started writing, and before I knew it, I had 3 or 4 chapters written, and ended up writing the book in like 6 months, and took about a month to edit it. Yeah, so it was pretty easy for me to write.
Now, was it always your original plan to make this into a series?
Um, I, I think I just wrote it, and I like when I write, I kind of like it's not like I follow outlines per se. I write a lot of notes more than like an outline, and I wasn't really sure as it progressed and everything, and then how I ended it was definitely ended so that there could be a second, and I actually have started writing the third. That
Now, now, now. So when you finished the first one, that's when you decided to make the second one. Now, when you were writing the second one, did you already have a ending, like a close all ending in mind for the third one?
for the third one.
Mm-hmm. Or
Um,
how you can wrap the story up?
well, again, it may go beyond three. It really depends.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, uh, um, I just kind of let you know. I mean, I guess I don't want to. I don't want to kill Johnny Raven off. So
Yeah.
you know, he's like part of me, and but there's some really good, strong characters in the book as I bring them on into the first book, and then as I started the second book, Raven's Rage, I brought in other characters too, and I like to develop my characters so that people can really believe who they are, and really get a feeling for who they are, so to speak.
Now, is it convenient writing a book series because, like you said, you like to develop your characters, and writing a series book by book, you're able to evolve your character and let them grow, and is that easier than just writing a one-off book?
Um, well, I'm writing. Right now, I have 3 books, 3 manuscripts that are in different stages of being completed. One of them is about a serial killer. That most likely will just be one book. There won't be a continuation of that. And then I'm writing another one, which is basically a fantasy that will be titled Scrolls of Sorrow, and that might develop into a second book, but I'm thinking more of just one book. So I think it kind of like I just go ahead and let my mind decide. Okay, is there, are we going to go on with this, or is there enough to take it into another book? And the way I ended both Raven's Way and Raven's Rage definitely has lent the idea for a third one. So the third one will be titled Raven Unleashed. So
Nice.
yeah, and actually the reptilian factor. I ended the reptilian factor so that there could be a second one. Uh,
Okay.
when I get around to starting it.
And I've noticed that more and more authors are going the series route compared to just the one off. Is that because you do one book and you see that it's such a success and you see that people are loving the characters and they want to see more, or is it that you love the story and you're like, boy, I feel like this story needs to carry on?
I think it's a combination of both. Like there's I can't remember her name now, but she writes the Anita Blake series, and it's she's written like 35 books, and it's crazy.
Wow.
The series is so long, and uh, yeah, I read so many of those books that it's kind of like moved into me a little bit as far as the series goes. And then I thought, well, this Raven would be a good way to go ahead and spread a series out. So that's pretty much what's decided with the Raven. The Ravens.
Now, what are some struggles that you have ran in as an indie author that a new writer who's thinking about writing a book right now doesn't know that it might be a roadblock in their way?
Well, it's kind of hard. I mean, I've been searching and trying to find um, a, a good agent that can shop me to the bigger publishing houses and stuff. And um, I mean, I've had so many people read the Raven books, and they rave about them and such that they would make such great movies. Uh,
Yes.
and this genre right now, well, there for a while, the genre was very, very heavy into this. Now it's kind of tapered off a little bit, so maybe it's time for another good series to come onto the screen, and that would be great if it was Raven.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, why do you think a lot of filmmakers are? Because I mean, I remember back in the day what I used to watch horror movies. I mean, I still watch horror movies, but back in the day, a lot of filmmakers in big budget companies they would go after um, horror author stories and adapt them into horror movies.
Yes.
Why do you feel like filmmakers in Hollywood have gone against that over the last couple of decades or so?
I don't. Um. I think Hollywood. I think Hollywood has a tendency to fall into certain themes and certain genres, and once they realize that something is successful, then they go out and they try and go ahead and latch on to other things that they can develop in the movies along that same genre. And then if it kind of tapers off, a lot of it I think depends upon their audience. And if there's an idea for whether it just be one movie or a series of movies, um, yeah, I think that's kind of like what they look for, in my opinion. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so for me, I would just love the fact that there are all kinds of scammers out there right now. And believe me, I get phone calls and every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we love your book. We love your book. We want to introduce it to top movie producers and stuff like that. And I know pretty much they're scams. So for me, I'm just looking for that particular agent who really, really likes what I do. And but um, indie authors sometimes this is where we have to start. Uh, you know, um, I mean, it's just like I've told several people that you're never going to know if you can write the book unless you start it.
Exactly.
And the worst that can happen is you don't finish it, and you realize that you can't write the entire novel. And maybe you can write short stories. You know, I also write short
Mhm.
stories. I also write poetry. So I kind of cover all the genres, so to speak.
And like a huge horror reader, I mean I'm enjoying right now. I mean, there's so much. I mean, with especially with like this influx of indie authors who
Yeah,
are self-publishing, small presses. There's so much content out there now. I mean, yeah, I remember like even like 20 years ago, like going to a bookstore in the horror section, there would only be five different authors, but now there's so much great stuff out there,
there is.
and like I mean, as an indie horror reader, I'm excited to see where it goes, even in the future.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can go out on Amazon and you can just search for werewolf books, and my God,
Hmm.
like hundreds and hundreds of them
Yes,
there are, and obviously I don't have time to read them, but some of them are well, again, some of them are serieses, and so I think when you get some characters that people really like, I think they want to see them go into that second book and maybe the
hmm
third book. The only problem sometimes with writing a series is that you have to kill some people off sometimes.
you do. Yeah, I can imagine that's tough. Now, there's a big trend right now in indie horror writing, and that's the use of AI.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on that?
I just don't. Well, I haven't heard any of it. I've heard of it, but not. I haven't listened to anything that was generated AI. Um, to me, what really makes a book uh, really where you can really latch on to and really get deep into is those words and everything. They're coming out of me. They're coming out of what's in here. They're coming out of what's up here. I would think would just be kind of like flat.
It
You know,
is.
yeah.
I've read one. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
haven't, and I'm not sure if I even really want to. But AI is going to be taking over everything. You know,
Unfortunately.
I mean, unfortunately, look at the Terminator movies, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's what we're going to be facing down the road. I won't have to worry about it. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But but my young nephews and children and stuff today, they may be facing that down the road. Yeah.
But what you were saying about being flat, like I read one recently because I was curious what an AI indie horror book was like, and like you say, it's completely flat. It's like there's no emotion behind it. There's no human emotion behind the characters. It just seems like a robot wrote it. You know what I mean? It just seems
Yeah.
not perfect.
Yeah. It's like when uh, 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 I don't read as much as I used to. I mean, I used to be a voracious reader. Now I kind of pick and choose my books, and then I try and read them when I can. Um, but one of the things I really like is when I read something and that character just grabs me, and I just want to follow that. I just want to follow that character through everything, whether it be good or bad or whatever. And so I think characterization is extremely important, and settings are extremely important, so that when your reader is reading that book that you wrote, they're not only just reading the words, but they're seeing everything in their head. So it's
Hmm.
almost like reading and watching a movie at the same time. And I've had people tell me that that's what reading the Raven books are about. That
Yeah.
they envision it, which is, and that's the way I write. So when I write, I'm actually seeing everything. And so it's almost like a movie in my head that I'm just writing the words for. And I'm sure other authors are like that too. Probably a lot of authors are like that. So,
And I say this a lot during my interviews. Like as a watcher and a reader, character development is so important, especially in the horror genre, because like you have to care about the characters. You have to have some kind of connection with the characters, whether it be you like them or you don't like them. You got to feel something about them so that when the worst thing happens to them, they die off or get killed. You got
that's,
to feel some kind of emotion.
yeah.
And if you don't have that character development, where I don't feel any type of emotion or any type of connection to any of the characters at all, then it's not a fun movie. It's not a fun book.
Yeah. I mean, there can be, you can have some characters in your stories and your books that are evil,
Hmm.
but the way you create that character, you could almost like the character,
Yeah.
you know? And you want that character to live, but eventually the character's the bad guy. So, it's the character like it would um it would how do I phrase this? To kill off Johnny Raven would be like taking a big chunk out of me. So
Yes.
I'm not sure Johnny Raven will ever die.
Yes. Now, is it hard as an author not to put a little bit of yourself into your characters?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. In fact, the dog in the Raven series, Rain,
Hmm.
Rain was my dog. My
Oh,
dog. She was of all the dogs I've had in my entire life, and they were all great, great dogs. Um, Rain was that special one. And I said, and when Rain passed away, unfortunately, at a relatively young age, at 9 years old, from a tumor, I said, well, Rain's never going to die. Rain's going to be in my Raven series, and where the main character, Kathleen Morello in the Raven series, she lives in the house that I lived in Roxborough,
oh, really? Wow.
or Philadelphia, the Roxborough section of Philadelphia. She lives in the house that I lived in. So I guess I could say that Kathleen Morello was a little bit of me.
Now, you also have another book which is called The Reptilian Factor. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yes. That's actually I grew up with a huge liking for science fiction. And back when I was young, science fiction, the Isaac Asimovs and the Ray Bradburys and the Kurt Vonnegut's. I mean, they were just fantastic authors, and so I wanted to. Um, I wanted to go ahead and try my hand at kind of like a science fiction horror genre. And the Raven series takes place in Philadelphia, so I didn't want to place it in Philadelphia. So since I lived 2 years in Tucson, Arizona, and there's all of the Area 51 and all that stuff back in that area, um, I just decided to go ahead and set the book. Uh, it starts in Philadelphia, the first chapter or so, and then the main character moves to Tucson, and so that's where I am, because I love that area so much. That's, even though it's been many, many years since I lived there or was there, a lot of it is still pictured in my head, that I had no problem in writing the reptilian factor. And it's about an alien that crashes, and uh, it's not like anything that any of the military have ever seen before. In fact, they didn't even know if it was alive or not, but it is, and they keep it contained But even though it was contained, this alien is learning and growing and ready to escape, and it does. And then once it escapes, it's then able to regenerate into other um, individuals, not only animals but also
Mhm.
people. And
Wow.
so, and its basis is reptilian in nature. So and there's also a side twist in there. The main character, Amelia Stevenson, she's a again a police detective. I guess I have a thing for women police detectives. I don't know, and I don't want to give it away, but there's there's um, there's something about Amelia Stevenson um, that is pretty interesting and pretty cool.
Now, this is going to be a one-off, or do you plan on making
Well,
this one a series?
I ended it. I mean, I did end it, and in such a way that there could be a second book.
Okay.
It would be a while before I would even have a chance to really tackle that and start writing it. But I really enjoyed writing that book because it was just the words just kind of flowed a lot of times when I was writing it. And again, the characters are strong characters, and the action some really good action in it, and and I also have chapters from the standpoint of the alien,
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah.
Yes. Now, Carrie, I got one last question to ask you. When it
Mhm.
comes to reviews, do you pay attention to reviews?
Yeah, I do. I guess probably like any, I guess probably like any author. Um, I, I shouldn't say. I mean, I don't really have. I've never really had any terrible reviews. There was one I had that I thought, well, I'd like to know what this person was reading when they reviewed my book. So that one there, I didn't really care about too much. But but most of them have reviewed, 4 or 5 stars. So I definitely read them. I try not to let them get too too deep. Like I said, so far I've been lucky enough that there hasn't been only that one relatively negative. It wasn't really negative,